So, yes, your vote is now. Where do we park?
That's, just use that path, but it was just Friday.
Yes, and they actually sell a lot of parking spots on there.
It is. Mhm.
Yeah.
You were trying to complain like, why is it 80 in November?
Yeah, that's true.
It's too cold.
It's a house. Yes. Yeah,
I don't know.
and suddenly it dropped.
My son is
Yes.
doing here with those workshops
Good morning.
on the fields.
Oh,
So.
you can sign up here, please. Your name is Elizabeth. Can I get it? Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, he was.
Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Oh, good, thank you.
Gentlemen, good morning, back. How you doing, guys? Mark. All right, see you. Good to see you. Hi, Mark. Chase Casper. Nice to meet you, Mark. Thanks. Go ahead and sign in the little link. Sure. How are you? All right. Yeah.
I'm over here.
Really? So,
We brought from Michigan down here to the bar.
yeah.
Fell downstairs.
I'm sorry, is it broken, fractured?
9 stitches.
Wow. Sure. They can point it.
Yeah, I got red light. Got a little light in there. I think it's dark.
Lazy. How's the drive?
Good. Then we stopped in Berea on the way down.
Good.
And then in here last night.
Yeah, that's great. I never had to drive from here to Michigan once.
Funny.
Once you get it.
Some recording things. John, this is. Like in this case, mom.
The,
Interns.
Let's see if the name is.
Yeah. And if you go either side to points at it, yeah, we've still got 2 feet. There.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty bad, like, Airbnb on, yeah, I don't know, why you should make it, but it's like, right, starts something.
and so we went to Hampshire.
Yeah.
We have two.
Is there like anything you can?
We only had to find that's all a big tunnel.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, it was.
They're like trash.
No, right?
This is where our friends are.
And they built a new one.
Hi, good morning. Oh, good.
My family had some, friends that built, so my dad, took some supplies and stuff. After the storm, we built, I said, it's pretty nice. I used to like the highway and stuff. Very close.
Yeah, you're from here, we can see some. I'll take that out with you.
So you probably would have to take a big detour to survive.
Yeah.
Probably.
Everyone was the flash flooding. Like the same, the swings and stuff, and had like a bunch of trees. Flooding.
I guess that's what it is.
Right there, now.
Yeah.
It's like, right, this a couple of days, but we have to use everything. They weren't even.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. And there's a tree that fell over the power lines. And they took out the power so different. And it was like, just our neighborhood affected by that. So we were like, one of the last few ones in the process of getting things. That was like, we had the answer.
We're ready.
So it's great. Nice to see you guys. Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah. What did he see?
Yes.
By the way,
So we have thank you. Some of our lab pointing on there. Track the whole.
Where are you from?
My parents live in Greenville now, so.
Last one is.
I just moved around enough, I'm sure. Yeah. It's.
Now we're on the Savannah. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Which a lot of the bioengineering here comes in, so I don't know about the bioengineering, whereas they call it bioengineering. So, you know, it's all a They do that for like funded research days.
How are you today?
Good, are you?
It makes so cool today.
Yeah, sure. Oh, you were at the next region. Oh, it's not. It is almost. No, it's 17. Yeah. I know. I was interested today. I've seen the back to something. Yeah. I was thinking about that. I would say it's like pretty good. To go all the way back. I always wondered if it's all these cars found. Why I actually originally school it's pretty dark place. Yeah,
So, yeah, maybe, no.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember they took it's proper health.
Right. Yeah, I actually worked on some.
Cake needs to be.
Yeah, that's- Yeah. Next time, I went to the first high school building, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
And like, completely shut off. Yeah.
What I.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, compared to I Maryland. He did like, I guess, I especially seriously.
Yes.
Everybody just gave us a away from New York, so we're kind of had.
You guys have-
I knew it would be like that. Yeah, but like, it was kind of like started over. So I have one to pick up.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah, my second talk. You got her. I mean, it's he doesn't use like those involved in my.
Yeah.
Like it would be his friends. Not good to the ground. So as far as like.
Right, it's.
Stop the parents, not to like.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't believe that. Yeah. Especially
Like.
Yeah.
Especially in Athens.
True.
Yeah, schools and like the season, like practice. Like there's no.
No, I think
Yeah, it's just like, everybody thought, originally, when we used to, it's like, we're not, it's like, but we're not.
No, you did a very good job.
If we love the.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, I mean, I was like, a lot of my friends have like, the expert from there, and visit here, like, they're like, it's fun, like, it's just far out, but it's, yeah, be nice, I guess. Yeah, it's not like it.
Well, we're good to go on.
He's not smart, he knows.
Okay. Okay, good morning to everybody. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming. We have some distinguished guests in the room. Martin Levins is one of our operations managers. He's with us together. We are live streaming, so I better get my camera on my face.
Yeah.
And so we also have some representatives from CURF, which are with us, Chase and Mark. And they're responsible for protecting the intellectual property that gets developed on the Clemson campus with Clemson resources. That's different than alumni creating things. That's different than students for the most part. Graduate students working in labs getting paid by Clemson using Clemson equipment will fall under purview. But Clemson students wandering around here thinking about Night Aid, which is an app that helps you find the best deals at bars around Clemson. That is not sort of in general under their domain. So that being said, for those of you who have ideas, we also always encourage you to talk to her. Well, talk to us first. We can kind of bet you a little bit probably. They're up to their eyeballs in big companies and big science and deep tech and stuff like that. So I'm sure they take a quick call from you, but the most important thing is to ascertain whether or not you fall under that umbrella. So that being said, we may hear from them a little bit later if they want to take the stage here. You can recap anything, but we're privileged today to have with his fiancee Lori, who's in the back. But we're privileged to have Michael Schultz with us today. We are recording this, so we have people on Zoom. We also have people who have asked to do this afterwards. But the purpose of today's presentation is to bring a very distinguished, very accomplished guy, but he's going to kind of bring it down to the rest of our level. You know, what are patents, what are provisional patents, and the pros and cons of all of that. I'll leave it to him, but I think, you know, it'll be beneficial even if you don't have a whole lot of knowledge in this particular area. So I would ask Michael maybe to start off that way. That you could look around the room here and I'll take a crack at it, but that zipper that you have with the circle on it, maybe patented. You know, your eyeglasses, all of our eyeglasses, and sort of the mechanics and the components of the eyeglasses may be patented. If anybody's wearing Nike Air sneakers, again, I'm not a subject matter expert, but those are probably patented. A little bit different than the trademark on your hat, probably, or a service mark. A Nike sweater is not a patent, but just to bring it down into everyday. The lid on that, that's a Yeti water bottle or whatever, you know, all these things have been patented, more likely than not, by somebody. So, that being said, let's get through a few more people coming in, so I'll buy a little more time, let them get seated, and then we're going to run it. Well, we are glad that you're here. We have bioengineering, we have management, well, how about you guys in the back? What are your majors?
Construction science and management.
Say again?
Construction science and management.
Construction science?
Business marketing.
Business marketing? Okay, good. So we have an array of different people here. And I also want to point out Maggie, who's also one of our operations managers. We're here to help the three of us. I'm the founding director of this Brookie Smith Launchpad, and I work out of the president's office. And so we're in charge of fostering entrepreneurship and innovation across the country, university campus, all different colleges. You're part of that. They don't have an idea of their own, you guys do that, but anybody here have an idea of the company? You've got some ideas, right? Yeah, for sure. Others, anybody? Doesn't have to be a science. Yeah, Adam, for sure, we know Adam. Trading, the dogs are willing.
I'm with the pets.
We're going to indoctrinate him over the next, he's going to be one of our agents here next semester. Good. Okay, let's just wait for this gentleman to sit down. We're going to run about how long?
30, 45 minutes.
Okay, awesome.
With some questions. And
Sure. That's right.
Everybody talk.
Everybody thought, everybody. But I think we'll have the official conclusion after you talk and they talk. And if anybody needs to get to class or get back to bed for a nap or anything like that, you'll sort of dismiss and then have an interactive session. So Michael is from Detroit, and he came all the way here to be part of this today. He's volunteered, which is an amazing thing. So we're very fortunate to have him. And I was going to put up here, I used to play songs before my classes when I taught. 200 people in an auditorium there, and I had my playlist. And one of the songs on my playlist was Roll Me Away by Bob Seger. You ever know that song? Come on, vintage. Yeah, there you go. You really should listen to that. It's a wanderlust song, meaning that he's in the bar and he just wants to take off and get on his motorcycle and drive across the country and so forth. But I was playing that the other night. I was thinking about it. From Detroit, you guys know that too, right? So, from Detroit, Michigan, here's Michael Schultz. Thank you. Let's go first.
Hi. So I'm Mike Schultz. Michael. I've been an entrepreneur, inventor for like 40 years. I started companies, I closed companies. I've made, I monetized my inventions. I have some, you can't see them. Lori, my fiance, helped me with these slides. I have 11 US patents. I deal mostly with financial services industry. So if you have a checking account and you want a copy of that check and it pops up on the screen, that is my invention. I've licensed that to 150 of the top 500, financial institutions in the US. Some are abroad. So they call that monetization, where you license it and you get money for your patents. And we've also been involved in some litigation against the financial institutions for patent infringement. So I kind of have seen this whole industry from soup to nuts, as they say. And I love it. I love to have the idea, see it through to completion. I am a registered patent agent. So anything that anyone tells me about inventions is confidential, just right out of the go. I'm not an attorney. So that's my disclaimer here, guys. I can tell you the way it is in the real world, in the business world, but I'm not an attorney. I went to what they call College of Hard Knocks. But the thing with patents, it really helps the inventor get their head around their idea. It protects you, and it also becomes an asset when the patent does issue, so that it's property. So you can license it, you can sue or litigate for someone that trespasses on your property. All right, let's go here. So basically what I'd like to do is start with, what's a provisional patent? There's two types of applications. There's a provisional application and a non-provisional application. A provisional application basically puts the stake in the ground for when you invented that invention. A non-provisional patent will eventually, hopefully, issue as a patent. A provisional patent application is only good for 1 year. It's only that stake in the ground. And the good thing about the provisional is that it deals with prior art. So if you're the first one to come up with the idea, then your provisional application is at the fact that you came up with it. It's filed at the U.S. government. You can refer to that when you file the non-provisional. Before the U.S. patent system changed, it was a first to invent system. Now the patent system is a first to file. So it's the big rush to the patent office. If you have an idea and you tell someone and they run off to the patent office and file your provisional, their provisional, you've got a problem. You've got to be the first one to that office. The provisional patent application, like I said, it provides a 12-month period. It gives you the stake for 12 months. If you exceed the 12 months without filing your non-provisional, then you've lost your priority. So that your priority of your originality of you coming up with that idea will revert back to when you file a non-provisional. It's taken me a long time, guys, to get my head around provisional, and non-provisional. I mean, I keep just, what is this, you know? You would think the provisional is the good thing, the one that will go to the patent, but it's not, the non-provisional. So I tried to come up with some way where I can remember that, you know, like a little rhyme or something. And I just couldn't. So I just had to learn it. So if you file your provisional patent application, which I encourage inventors to file those. It's not hard. In fact, Calvin and Aaron did it. It helps you get your head around your invention, helps you explain your invention to someone else. It takes your thoughts and you actually write them down. Like if you're doing a pitch or if you're trying to get some money from an investor, you have to explain that your invention to them. The best thing, you know, is to write it down, have some bullet points. You know, I always start out like a provisional with just the bullet points. You know, you got to start. So with the provisional, the bullet points out, maybe a drawing will help. I can get into the drawings. With the provisional, and a lot of people doing AI or system methodologies, things like that, flow charts. I mean, you've got to design everything with a flow chart. I was speaking with an inventor once, and he says, "Oh yeah, this is really cool. It's going to bring me billions of dollars." And I go, "Okay, how's it work?" "Well, yeah." And I'm going, "All you have to do is just do a flow chart." He goes, "Well, I know what the end result is." I go, "What's the start? How do you start it?" So eventually we worked through a flow chart, and he really struggled with it. So if those flow charts just flow, then that's wonderful for you. Just what you know this invention, and you can proceed with a provisional super easy. Like these guys here, they knew it. I mean, boom, they had this locked down. The provisional patent has three major parts. The title, which people struggle with, but a title of an invention you want to have, you know, like a real quick, I would go less than 10-word title, and have some keywords in it that someone can search under when you take this provisional and make it a non-provisional. The inventor's names, very crucial. You have to have every single inventor that's involved at least listed, and hopefully you have them under some sort of an agreement where they're going to assign their interest or bring them in under your LLC or subject of S corporation. And then the drawings or flow charts, however you want to do it. And then some people put claims, which is an overview of your inventions, kind of a lot of legalese in a claim. That's why they're optional. And frankly, I do not recommend putting those in your provisional at all. It's just going to be a stumbling block. Personal note, you know, I do this monetization, and I was in an 8-hour deposition about 3 weeks ago. And they pulled up my provisional on one of my patents, and they said, "Well, Mike, where's your claims?" I don't need them. They go, "Oh, you have to." And I go, "Well, check." And we have legal representation, and my attorney says, "Oh, you don't need that." And he goes, "Oh, the opposing counsel, oh, well, I thought you did." Well, it's right there. You know, people, they're just misinformed on this, but you don't know the claims. They're gonna try and when your patent does issue, your claims are extremely crucial. I mean, that's what you litigate with. That's the strength of your patent, not only the they call it specification, which is your description. They would call that intrinsic because that's what you said that your patent is, and then you condense your description into the claims, which are just really like snippets legally of what your description said. Your description will state the problem. I mean, what are you trying to solve? I mean, if, for me, I tried to solve a back office flow from going from microfilm to digital images. So the banks and financial institutions were wasting a lot of time and money on microfilm, and the ease of use for a customer to pull something up on their computer is a heck of a lot easier than having to have to go to the bank and wait weeks to get a copy of a check. Also, when you write a description for your provisional, you want to step back and put your mind, have the mindset of how is somebody going to get around my idea? How are they going to do this? You know, if my invention is a walking path from point A to point B, and that path is a straight line, sure, I'm going from A to B in a very efficient way, but what if I went from A to C to D and then walked to B? Same result, I go from A to B, but I go there differently. You just have to say how, or I guess nowadays you just say, how am I going to get knocked out? You know, how can I reverse engineer my product? I worked with a company called Yoga Toes. They have a device that goes between your sidebar, goes between your toes. So it's particularly useful for women who wear high heels. You know, because at the end of the day, their toes are like this. This is a elastomeric gel that goes between their toes and non-invasively stretches them. That company, thanks to patents, went from this guy working in a garage in Ann Arbor, Michigan, to living on Huron River, and he went from a lonely website to being the #1 seller on Amazon for toe stretchers. Because he used his invention and intellectual property to knock the competitors out of the market. I don't like markets, but anyway, patents are a good thing. Trademarks are wonderful as well. Copyrights are great. I'll diverge a little bit. Let's say you have a consumer product. You want to get that product on Amazon. You take some great pictures. And all of a sudden you see, like 3 months later, your pictures being used to sell an app. Well, you need to copyright your pictures because Amazon will take down the other listing if your pictures are copyrighted or you have a trademark on your product and they're using your trademark to sell their net. So patents with Amazon are not viewed too favorably because it has to, they have to analyze it, and it's just not an instantaneous thing like a trademark or a photo. You know, they could say, oh yeah, they're using, you know, they're using this person's image to sell a product. Okay, so let's get back to drawings and diagrams. The one thing with a provisional application is that if you have a drawing, every single number or element in that drawing needs to be accounted for in your description. So if you look at this, it's one of those super soakers. And, for example, number 31, well, what is 31? Well, in your description of your, invention, you have to say what 31 is. You have to say what 39 is. Every single number on here has to be accounted for. Because if it wasn't important, why would you have a number to it, right? Why? You would have to do that. And in fact, when you would take your provisional and you try to convert it to a non-provisional, the examiner would kick it out right there. And you'd waste months trying to resubmit drawings and redo your specification. So this just happens to be a flow chart from one of my patents. And the reason I put this in is to kind of show a little bit about your flow chart. The diagrams are all numbered, figures 1 through 10, or how many you want. You have like a decision box. You can find about flow charting and workflows on like YouTube, like tons of videos on that stuff. But the important thing I wanted to show you with this is that, a page is only so large. So what happens if you're going to have a flow chart that would go all the way down to the floor? It's basic flow charting, but I didn't know it until I was confronted with it. I thought, well, heck, everything in the flow chart I used to have on one page. Well, this one, for example, this goes on-site storage system, and this goes to an off-site storage system. Well, figure 3 and figure 4. So if you go to those figures, figure 3 and figure 4, here's the continuation of the flow chart. It makes sense when you see it, but to write one of these provisionals, and not see something like this, it's just going to save you guys a lot of time. Writing a provisional application, what do you guys say, 4 hours? At least? Yeah, okay, let's say 8 hours. 8 hours to write it. Max. Yeah, and that's with the drawings. And these drawings, these were done by a patent artist, but for provisional, they can just be hand drawings. You don't need to hire a draftsman. You can do this yourself. And I guess I can get it some costs, a provisional application that's, like I said, good for 1 year. That's all it's good for. You can say patent pending as soon as it's filed. If you're a micro entity, in other words, I think the threshold is $250,000. If you don't make $250,000, you can have a micro entity, and it's about $70. So you've got that stake in the ground for $70. We can tell everybody it's patent pending. You can talk to marketing people. You can do whatever you want. And the other interesting thing with a provisional application is it's not published, so nobody can see it, which is great. It's like, yeah, it's behind this curtain. Yeah, guys, I got a patent pending on it. You can't see it, but you can only say that for a year. Then you better go non-provisional, otherwise you're going to lose that, and you could lose your funding. So it's very important to have game plan here. And this patents, provisional patent applications, non-provisional patent applications, it's all part of your plan to get to your success. Filing process with a provisional basically prepare your documents, make sure everything's accurate, and then you can say patent pending. So as these guys will attest to later, you have your file, you put your specification in a file, Word document file, put your drawings in a Word document file, put your micro entity form into a file, and then you go through the online patents website, USPTO, and you upload it. Sounds really simple, right? But make sure you use Microsoft products. The USPTO website is not real non-Microsoft friendly. And then if it doesn't go up, upload it correctly, you get a bunch of errors, and then frustration sets in. So just calm down. Internet Explorer is going to solve the USPTO. Once you're filed, go back to whatever, your Chrome, your Apple, your Safari, whatever. But when you're doing this, use Internet Explorer. Okay, so I talked a bit about a provisional, and then you have to file your non-provisional. Well, the transition, it's all time-based. Your provisional is going to be good for a year. In that time, raise the money. You can start writing your non-provisional if you would like. Or you can hopefully get some funding and hire and work cooperatively with a patent attorney. I think you will have better patent applications and better patents the more involved you are. I know how we may have a mindset as, he's a patent attorney. I'm not going to talk to him. He knows what he's doing. Got to be engaged, guys. This is your idea. You want to be a success. Together, you'll get the patent. Because as soon as an examiner rejects it, which a lot of examiners, they get points, whatever, for rejecting a patent, then you have another chance to go back at them to rebut how they rejected. Your patent attorneys will consult with you to get over those objections or rejections. And also during your non-provisional process, the examiner will ask for an interview with the patent attorney. Since this is your invention, you are an inventor, you can sit in on the interview. Please sit in on the interview. So you need that rapport with a patent examiner because they'll ask questions that the patent attorney may not even know, and they got to answer right on the spot. You'll know because you wrote your provisional first, you got your head around your invention, and you'll be a success, guys. We will. There's many advantages to file the provisional patent application. The provisional first, you establish a priority date, which is a huge thing. Because when you get in litigation or when people say, oh, you didn't invent that, that's when priority date comes into effect. And when you file your non-provisional, priority date is huge. Because if someone has other patents, the patent examiner will go through a database and search the keywords to do their own search. If they find something that is very similar to yours, that's an older patent, or is in a magazine article, or something that's older than that priority date, when you file your provisional, they're gonna throw it at you and say, how are you different? So getting to the finish line quickest wins this race, the patent race. And I'm gonna have these up on, the website here, Launchpad, for you guys, these slides, which are excellent, Laura, thank you. Strategy is, when you're doing intellectual property, you gotta know your end game. What do you want? Do you want to knock products out? Do you want to build assets with your company? If you want to do all of that and have your company be valued higher, quicker, get intellectual property. Just my opinion. But what I saw at Yoga Toes, as far as us gaining market share, we gained 50% market share overnight on Amazon because those other listings were gone. The counterfeits were gone. Common mistakes, right here, incomplete descriptions. Those numbers, they'll throw you off in your diagrams. Lack of enablement. Basically, provisional application and a non-provisional. When someone reads that, well, let me say this differently. When they're finished reading your application, they should be able to just go and make their invention. Because I know inventions are secrets and all that, but they're really not going to get a patent. But the government gives you 20 years of monopoly. And if you can't make it in 20 years, you really don't deserve to have a monopoly. That's their thought. So you've got to be able to convince someone, person having ordinary skill in the art, asa, and we call it, the ability, after they read this, to do your invention. So, so I used to play guitar, used to be in a band. No, I still. And I always wanted to design the greatest guitar case in the world. You're going to your gig, you want a really nice case. They've got hard cases, which are very heavy. They've got a soft case that doesn't preserve or protect your instrument. So I started looking at guitar cases, designing one. And it kind of opened my mind up to the language that you use in a provisional or a non-provisional. For example, like a closure. You could say, oh yes, you have a zipper all around the case. Well, okay, let us go back to stepping out of the box to say, well, how could you get around it? Well, somebody has the, okay, that got around it. Somebody has snaps. That got around it. Somebody has snaps and a zipper. A combination. That got around it. But if you say that there's a closing means or closing device to keep the two sides together once you put the guitar, you nail every one of those. Snaps, zippers, Velcro. You got it. So it's basically stepping back and try to broaden your invention up, especially in the provisional stage. When you get non-provisional, you'll still broaden it up, but if you broaden it up way too much, then the examiner will come back and say, man, you're way off base. But when you're doing your provisional, broaden it up. Okay, so kind of wrapping this up before I call Calvin and Aaron up. You guys are gonna be successful, okay? It's not that hard to write a provisional. In the long run, it's going to really boost your confidence in your invention, your product. You may even come up with another invention while you do it. This analogy I came up with, so let's say you're playing on a Major League Baseball team, right? Detroit Tigers, let's just say. And you have a batting average of 333, right? Your starting lineup, you're doing well. But that means you're only getting one hit out of every 3 times at bat, right? What if you got one hit out of every 3 inventions you came up with? You'd be great. Let's move your batting average up to 500. 1 out of 2 inventions, you hit it out of the park. It's wonderful. For $70, filing this, you're buying yourself 1 year worth of time. I think it's a great deal. Patent General instead of Dollar General, right? I think it's just great. It's a great deal for you, and it just helps your mindset. So this is my contact info. Like John said, I'm a volunteer here. You just reach out to me. Here's my phone number's here. Give me a call, and an email, and I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, I love to help you guys. Someone helped me, so I'm passing it up. My inventions garnered over $2 million, and a lot of work, so I can help you guys. Just reach out. So now, Calvin and Aaron, local Clemson guys, success stories right here. They won awards, competitions, and they filed their first provisional, first of many, right? So, guys, come on up. Please welcome them.
Yeah, so our talk about give a big shout out to Mike here. We were probably in the same situation where you guys were all, where you're like, we have a great idea. How can we continue with it, right? How can we take it to the next step? And we did. We took it to the next step. Thanks to Mike, he was there to help us. He was very patient. At times, we had no idea what we were doing, right? We were like, we got to go through the USPTO. It sounds like this major organization. How can we even, just us, some students, how can we file a patent and actually make a company out of this funding? But
Yeah, so we were in your shoes a couple months ago, not even a year at this point. We both graduated in May from bioengineering. So we, for our senior design project for bioengineering, we came up with this product. The EFROGuard, outside of class, we submitted it to some design competitions, and several of them here at the Launchpad. And then, got some national recognition from some national competitions as well. So we were really excited about continuing this throughout, beyond college, and exploring the idea of taking this product, protecting it, and hopefully, making a company, and just really aiming for the stars. So it's definitely a very intimidating process. But you just kind of take it one step at a time. And kind of the biggest thing I've learned throughout this is just reach out to people. People who have been there and done that, and who have, had success in this field. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be more than willing, even happy to help you, just as Michael is. So just because you don't know everything and you're never going to know everything that you need to run a company, you can find out. You can reach out to people who do know and, rely on their expertise to get you where you need to go. So yeah, like Tom said, we reached out to Michael. We just, graduated. We were just, we had this idea. We knew we needed to protect it. When we reached out to him, not only did they knew the difference between a provisional and a non-provisional, like we were, totally ignorant to this whole field. And so he really broke it down for us, like he did a little bit for you guys today, of taking us just from the most basic understanding to, this is what you need to be working on, here's where you need to go. So we recently filed the original patent.
And like a little bit of the original patent aspect, why do we choose to do it now? Like Aaron's mentioned, we won a lot of competitions. So if you guys are going through these competitions, seeing success, seeing people actually take interest in the product, might be a good idea of how one of the awards that we won was the NIPK Kidney Technology Award, which is sponsored by the NIH. It's a debut challenge they do every year. There's like 15 teams chosen out of all the universities that apply in the country. And the big important part here was we were going to go to we already went to the conference in Baltimore, EMES, and it was going to be a public disclosure, right? And the word public disclosure is very important because there's only a limited amount of time you have after a public disclosure before anyone else can just go and file a provisional or not provisional out. And it's been a journey. I remember our goal was to file a provisional before that conference. Even though we had a few public disclosures before, it wasn't as big as this conference because people from all over the country are coming for it. And our goal was to get it before that day, the day we present. But I remember we were going through all these issues. The biggest problem was we had the provisional completely made. We had the draft ready to submit. We had the PDF. We were going through some problems actually filing through the system. That's a little bit of why Mike was putting a lot of emphasis on Microsoft services, right? We were trying to go through Google Chrome. We would get all the way to the end, just trying to pay that $70. Fail, error. We were getting a little frustrated, but Mike was there giving us options, supporting us through the whole process, letting us know different options for actually submitting it. But then the day of the presentation, we filed it right before. We felt confident going in that no one would steal or take on our idea. But the actual process of filing the provisional was super simple. There's just a few legal terms you have to understand. But like I said, Mike was there to support us. Any questions we had, we go to him for some help. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about actually writing the provisional.
Yeah. So we wrote the entire thing ourselves, with Michael's advice, and we'd send him a draft, he review it, says, hey, work on this, we go back in and fix it.
A lot of the terms are important.
Yeah. So like you were saying, the more you can be involved in your product and your IP, the better it's going to be, because really, your product best, right? So you know what your angles are, you know what you're trying to protect. So nobody can write your patent better than you can. So, you might think that, this is IP, this is not my field, I'm worried about this invention and selling it and all those other things. I'm just going to hand it off to someone else and let them, secure my IP and protect it for me. But really, the more involved you can be, the better, the more specific your patent can be, the better chance you're going to have of it actually protecting you. So yeah, he kind of gave us an outline, he gave us, specifications, your drawing, here's all the things you need, just go start, just go write something and send it back to me.
And the drawings, that looks like a really good drawing up there, right? I drew our drawings for our provisional. I'm not an artist. I don't draw. I'm not very super creative in drawing, but I did get a very basic drawing out just of our device. Had a patient line, a table, had a bunch of numbers to it. It made sense. It wasn't perfect, but it got the job done, right?
Yeah. So I would say something big that Michael helped us realize when writing a non-provisional is when you're trying to protect your idea, you kind of want to take a step back. So like that example he gave of filing, trying to patent the closing device for your guitar case as opposed to a zipper, right? That's going to protect you a lot more. And so something you can do to help you with that is kind of describe different embodiments of your device, right? So you might have a prototype of your device right now, and it works a certain way, it does this, but you know that's not going to be your final device. You know you're still working on it. You don't have the final product yet, but that doesn't mean you can't go ahead and start protecting your IP. So what you can do is describe what they call alternative embodiments. So you could describe your current embodiment, what you have right now, and then you can also describe alternative embodiments of what it might look like in the future. So in the future, I might want to use this different technology or this different system. Well, I can go ahead and describe that in my provisional patent. And then when I go to file my non-provisional, I can protect that as well. So, just as you don't know exactly what your final product looks like right now, if you have a good enough idea of where you might go in the future, you can start protecting that and, do it now and protect yourself earlier rather than waiting until you're way down the road when you have a final product and you've missed out on so much time of protection. So.
Yeah. And there's a lot, as been discussed today, a lot of new terms possibly for some of you. I know this new terms for me. There might not always be someone like Mike to help you, but if there is, definitely take advantage of that opportunity. I know Mike is also sending us YouTube videos, right? There's also other resources out there, not just people that are registered to help with this, but just people all around the internet also helping other people like us. Easy resources. Personally, sometimes watching YouTube videos is really easy to understand, right? So always be looking out for things that can help you. There's a ton of free opportunities, resources. I know we're like, oh, we don't have money for a patent lawyer. You don't need a lawyer for the provisional, right? You might need one for the non-provisional. That's the problem later down the road. Get the provisional done, have your game plan, everything's going to work out and you're going to be successful.
I'm just gonna take 2 minutes maybe, and then we'll entertain questions. Also, Martin has a gift to give Michael, and we'd like to hear from Chase for a minute or two about growth. But all with in entrepreneurship, in innovation and inventions, everything is rooted in a problem, right? And so, for those of us that just, and your parents probably do it more than you, but pull up a photograph or a digital image of a check online, you kind of take that for granted. Somebody had to invent that a long time ago, right? But people see problems in the world, and these guys saw this particular problem, and they're attacking that problem. I was talking to you before about skin care. You see that as a problem and so forth. And so just always keep that in mind. Keep your antenna up for problems in the world. That's number one as an entrepreneur, an inventor, and an innovator. What's your first name?
Matthias.
Matthias? All right, so let's say Matthias is a lacrosse player. Did you play any sports?
Soccer.
Soccer? Oh, that's a little bit harder. Because you shouldn't be doing handballs. But let's say you did inadvertently. You were in the line defending, right? A free kick. And so you had your hand turned to the side and your finger got struck with a soccer ball and bent way back, and you had to have a splint, right? And so today, sitting here, you're seeing Michael with a splint. Regrettably, he had an accident with a dresser, and the dresser won. And so he had, 9 stitches and some other problems with his finger right now. But look at that. Look at that piece of whatever it is. And that probably hasn't been modified or changed much in 100 years. People used to put popsicle sticks and tape. When we got her playing hockey, we didn't go to the doctor. We used to do something like that. We got a couple other hockey guys in the room. But let's say you're sitting here thinking about it. You could, at least conceptually, within the next 30 minutes, come up with an idea for an improved splint, right? So what other materials could you possibly use?
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber, okay. Others?
Steel.
Steel? Yeah, sure. Titanium, plastic. You mentioned gel before, some sort of gel, right? And so you're just sitting there and your mind is spinning on all these different things. And then you talk to him, you talk to other athletes and construction workers that have had various, limbs and and appendages injured, right? And we start coming up with that. But by the end of the day today, maybe that's a little fast, but it took these guys some time, but by the end of the day tomorrow or 48 hours, conceivably for $70, you can file a provisional patent on your idea for a new approved splint, other than a piece of aluminum with an expansion, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more to it, but I just want the accessibility of this is right at the fingertips. And with some guidance, Michael has made a lifelong impact on these guys, whether this materializes or the next thing materializes, or they work in companies and they're more successful there because of what they learned here. So he's already, we haven't paid him a nickel, and he's only been hanging around for 3 or 4 months, and he's already made a big impact on their lives and other students that he's been in contact with. So we're super grateful for that. Also, as he mentioned, we sort of mentioned a little bit, investors, one of the first things they're going to ask, if you have a new splint, and you're going around asking for 10,000 here, 50,000 there, 250,000 there, do you have IP? Do you have protection? Because they're not going to put $250,000 into something that you haven't at least filed a provisional patent, right? And then they give you 250, then you pay the lawyers, they're 50 or whatever, whatever it's worth, you pay them, and then they get the deal done for you. So I just wanted to take a minute to point out about the simplicity of it. It's not easy, but you gotta grind through it, but it's readily accessible to all of us to the point where I've done a lot of things. I probably have 50 copyrights on movie screenplays and TV shows and books and other kind of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, for $70, I should file a patent on something until they say, I filed a provisional patent. It will make me all the more eligible to talk to students and other people. And sort of just a notch in the belt, in terms of life experiences. So that being said, let's turn it over to Kurt and Chase for a minute. Just a couple minutes. Just
You want me to go there or just stand?
We got this. I'm probably not standing thing, but these guys will be available to answer questions in a second here. Just like 2 minutes, maybe better stand here. I don't know, but just you just put a word in a word that you like.
So first of all, let me get a feel for my audience. How many of you are undergraduate students? Graduate students, you get it right. Graduate students, okay, 2, okay. So, I want to build on your comment at the outset, and thank you for letting me have a couple of minutes. This is so ad hoc. So CURF is the research foundation for the research enterprise for the university, and your professors, especially those of you who are grad students, you guys are doing intellectual effort, certain projects. And so we work to capture the intellectual assets, broadly speaking. Provisional patent is one mechanism. You guys talked about copyright, we've talked about trademarks, we talked about trade secrets. And so who is talking to you right now? So I'm a former industry guy, 14 years, oil and gas sector, most recently, and I've been at 3 tech transfer offices at 3 universities over the last 20 years. And so I've done a lot of IP work, and part of our inreach to you educationally is we work hand in glove with the Launchpad is to say, we work with graduate students. In fact, about 2 to 3 graduate students per invention disclosure we receive, which is near 80 a year. We have over 2,000 innovations in our portfolio with the Technology Maturation Fund. So if you have questions about IP, I manage IP portfolios in industry. I've gone after people who've done that, kind of infringed on us, if you will. So we do sessions with your faculty at the department level, but we're also reaching in at the undergraduate level, bioengineering. You guys might have even been a part of some of our IP attorneys who've spoken to your bioengineering undergraduate classes. Graduate classes just did one in technical writing. So we will pass back and forth between our respective units, between Launchpad and CURF. If you're creating something that's outside of the university's ownership, we're happy to talk to you and give you any experience informally. Don't take it as advice. It's not legal advice. But, our doors are always open, and we have resources available to you as well. So knocking on our door is no problem. We're catty corner right over here in the fourth floor of the Clemson Center. So anyway, we've seen a lot. My colleague Mark Roth back here is also a former industry guy. And the thing about this is so important. And Michael, I thank you for talking about this, because this is a hygiene factor. You guys know this. This is the first step in terms of putting your product out there. And your comment about investors, John, I'm sorry to just keep building on great comments here, is they expect that you'll have protection. And the money won't come from them at the end of the day. So value proposition and customer discovery comes next. And so, congratulations, you guys going down this pathway. And if you have any questions about this, our doors are open. We have resources that are available to you. And then also thankful for the programmatics that you put on here, John, in terms of working on customer discovery and going on. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for the duration. And if there's any questions now, I'll field them, but thank you for a few minutes to talk.
Awesome. Good. Okay, so we'll take any questions. Mark will give the gift, and then if you need to leave, that's fine. If you want to stay around and ask some questions of these two guys or Michael, feel free. Yeah.
So there's like a fine line between products that are similar, right? So like your example with the splints.
Yeah.
If I go and I make a splint out of a different material, that's enough difference. That's enough difference to make an improved pattern.
So your thought was a different material for this? I would think the concept of a split, right? That's what you would have, all right? The material would be like a part of the description. You could say a splint made out of various things, various materials, including metal, carbon fiber, things like that, amongst others. So they would do more of the design functionality of the splint. Now, if you came up with a brand new material undiscovered, that sure is. So, you may have two patents within your one device, that the actual design functionality of your splint and material, and there's another patent I didn't speak about called a design patent, which is an ornamental part. So you could, ornamental part of the splint, the actual functionality of the splint, the method of putting it on, and the material. So those are all different patents.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So at that point, this is probably already finished taken. But for example, if somebody came up with a new hair clip that took a woman's hair and made it into a pyramid or something like that, that's never been done before, they probably would want to write that broad patent that covered all materials, so that if you came up with that, and you made it in certain material, plastic or something, that you can go ahead and make it in something lightweight and you came up with. So he would want to write that with Jim. Good question. Awesome. Yeah. All right, let's get Michael.
I give it to him. Yeah, he's got it.
Pardon?
He's got it.
So do you have the gift?
Yes.
Yes, I can see.
Oh, you already got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Publicly. He's graciously offered to help anybody here in Clemson, and will be in the area more and more in years to come. So here's the formal presentation.
All right.
Of his gift.
Thank you.
We're going to thank you, Mark, and thank you for getting this all over again. So thank you guys for coming. Hope you learned something.
Yeah, thank you. So, and there's my contact info. Please reach out.
Hit it up with any questions if you got them. Anybody have any questions right now or for these guys? Sure. Okay, thank you. This concludes our presentation. Nice meeting you.